Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, and it's great to welcome you to Simplenight Presents. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. But today we have an incredible guest on Simplenight Presents, Eric Pelletier, who's been a repeat guest. And today we're talking about wellness. So let's talk about how we can get down through and understand how to live longer, how to live better lives, and how these tools that we have can help us. So with that, I'd like to bring Eric Pelletier on board. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Gary. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a Groundhog Day. We've done this a lot, right? Eric,
Exactly.
you've had an incredible journey from Bain and Company, Oliver and Wyman, focused on strategy, technology, and startups. So, and we were just talking before the show, but how does wellness and AI, how do you think that's going to change the world, right? In terms of longevity, especially, right? Having all this data in front of us and all these tools.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's happening. I mean, it's real. It's now, literally now. Uh, First thing is probably to get to a definition of wellness, and that's not an easy one because it feels like you go through the literature, you go to what people are trying to do, you see many many different angles on wellness. Um, to me, the simple way to describe it, it's a holistic perspective on health. So it's everything that's integrated that probably is not within the scope of actual disease. So it's what happens when you're not diseased, when you're well. How do you behave at that stage? What I find very and it really relates to Maslow's pyramid of needs. um, and as our society satisfies more and more the basic needs like eating, sleeping, getting shelter, etc., then you move to higher aspirations, higher needs. And wellness can be understood from that angle. But to me, the best definition is given in the U.S. Constitution, when Jefferson wrote, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That, to me, this is the truest element, revolutionary element of the emergence of the U.S. Before that, nobody was really talking about happiness as a worthy goal. And there was a revolution in England, in Britain, a century before. There was a revolution in France at the same time. Uh, but
And with
the
the revolution, do you think it's about happiness? Why do people is how important do you think happiness is? And then when we have these tools, these AI tools to be able to, how can it make us happy? How can it help us with our mind, body, and soul to make us happy?
Yeah, and this is, to me, this is why it's so fascinating. The U.S. Revolution, to me, it's focused on happiness, right? French Revolution, British Revolution, the Glorious Revolution, the Russian Revolution. It's about liberty and power. It's really geared towards power. So the Americans came up with a very different tack. And actually, you look at the way American society built itself, it's really reflected. And so the connection between AI and wellness may not have been obvious, except in an American context, it's absolutely essential. It does make perfect sense. Now, if you think of the way wellness and AI integrate, um, there's probably three ways it does. Um, the first way is the when you get a service or a product, it's the quality attached to it and what it offers you in terms of wellness, right? Positive attributes. The second thing is actually you got all these apps that actually increase your level of wellness, and you have meditation, You have chronic chronic disease management, etc. And I think the third one is the one you mentioned at the beginning, is the whole field of longevity, which is, to me, it's a completely different field altogether, because there is one aim is to make your life better, and there is another aim which is to make your life longer.
Yeah, no, you're right about it. It is to make your life better, to make your life longer. But then we have these tools. On one side of it, you have companies like Replica that are building these kind of like your grandmother, right? You can actually talk to the tools, like really talk about it, and create that person. So you have them forever, right? Recapture that person because it's understanding through the writings, through the voice, who they are, and you can have a real conversation. Does that, when we use AI in that way, do you think that's fulfilling to in terms of happiness? Does bringing those tools to bear to be able to complete you, right? Because the whole thing is about making sure you're complete, right? You don't have those holes. And the older we get, the more holes we have because more people leave, pass away, right?
Yep.
And so, as you get older, you're all full as a kid, and all of a sudden the pieces come apart. Does the AI go down through for mind, body, and soul and help us in a concierge kind of way, in a grandmotherly kind of way, to be able to help us to live more balanced lives, right?
Yeah, the this is, I mean, this is one of the oldest, most intense philosophical problem. In the I think it was the 17th, 18th century, there were already lots of conversation about automatas, where people said, you can do something mechanical, but does it have a soul? And if it doesn't have a soul, does it matter? Then you got the Jewish golem, which, once again, the question is, does it have a soul or it doesn't have a soul? You look at Frankenstein, well, the monster, not the doctor, but the Frankenstein monster. There's also the question is, does he have a soul or not? And so the philosophical question behind AI in those kind of supporting application is whether it has a soul. But then,
What is the soul, though?
exactly. But then, does it really matter? And that's why it becomes very interesting, because if I can talk to my grandmother, I wouldn't talk to my grandfather, but I would talk to my grandmother to get some advice.
Why
Um,
wouldn't you talk to your grandfather about it?
oh, not the most pleasant person on earth. So, and, family, you can, some you like, some you like less. Uh, but you get into that situation now. Forget how it's built, but just look at the output. The output is satisfying, so it does work. And there are examples behind that. When you read a book or you watch a movie, you don't really care about what's behind it. What truly matters is the experience you get, and this is this experience that creates, joy when you read the book, wellness when you work with the application, with the AI application. So from that standpoint, I think this is I think there's too much criticism. This is actually pretty good, and it seems to be working pretty well.
And then when we take, you get the mind, body, and soul, but all these things, you can have data points, you got your Fitbits and all this stuff. So you can kind of monitor if the thing's pleasurable. Would it be to the point, do you think, that we're going to have so many of these devices on us that the AI will understand what's pleasant for us and then start only doing pleasant things, and start providing information that makes us happy, right? Whatever happiness is.
There's no simple answer to that. Reason why it's actually very good, right? But as all technologies, it's got its dark side. So I'll take, I hope your uh, people, the listeners, won't be shocked, but there's that standard experiment in a zoo, when they give monkeys a way to buttons where they can self-stimulate themselves sexually. Essentially, the masturbation on demand. Um, and most of the time, the monkeys die of exhaustion because they keep pushing on the button. Um, if you think about dopamine stop stimulation, this is what's happening. Um,
Hmm.
the If you have easy access to dopamine stimulation, you will use it,
Hmm.
and then your receptors get dirted, so you need more and more and more, and you got into a bad thing. So there is really a risk attached to that notion that probably too much wellness kills wellness. So
Do you think that's true, Eric?
yeah, I do. I do. I absolutely do. I'll give you well, one of the my favorite book is a French writer by Huysmans, and he tells the guy in late 19th century how he's done everything, and now he's so bored, so he's got to have this more and more extreme experience to feel something. That's a standard theme in literature. If you look at food, the addiction to soft drinks, to burgers, and industrial food, because they're so satisfying from a dopamine standpoint, you see that people progressively increase the volume they ingest, and that's not good. So there are already examples where you got these great therapist applications, and they're brilliant. And actually, they're not terribly difficult to run. But now you're
Hmm.
beginning to see examples. You see that reported where people are totally addicted, not do anything unless they consult their like a private oracle. Um,
Yeah,
so
I
there
mean
is,
that they're
yeah,
the thing is, but isn't ChatGPT becoming that, right? And these tools, because you're asking questions because you get answers, right? Your life is full of questions, but the
yeah,
thing is, if you have those answers, you can go down through and dramatically change things. Instead of wondering about, should I invest in this, or uh, what's global climate change all about, or uh, talk about B.F. Skinner or Sigmund Freud in detail, those kind of things. Whatever, you can ask any question. You want to make a cake, then you want to go on a trip, then you want to go down through and write a book. I mean, imagine it is an oracle. It's become the oracle. And that's interesting. I wonder if you took that oracle like the Greeks did when they would have those fires going at nighttime, and they would have those people behind the dark walls talking to people, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right?
yeah,
But if you had the AI behind that, you truly would have an oracle.
yeah. No, no. But remember, the Bible is very, very, very clear about the fact that you're not supposed to use oracles. I mean,
Hmm.
this is incredibly clear. In the Old Testament, is this is don't do that. And then Christianity and Islam, they took that over. Don't deal with oracles; it's bad.
Hmm.
Of course, we're humans and we're very interested.
So is
And
AI the oracle?
I think it is it certainly is an oracle, and it probably is the oracle, because if you think about what AI does, okay, first of all, the way most I'm interested by oracles actually. But the way most oracles work, if you use a tarot cards or I Ching, what you do is you do a draw, and the draw gives you a sense of the situation. So if you're able to understand that little part of the situation, you understand the whole world. Consequently, you got an answer to your question. Now, AI today with LLMs, this is the first time in history that we got a system that has access to everything we've done, and it's getting more and more refined, and as we get more and more sensors, so it's not only just the language but also IoT. We're getting a clearer and clearer vision of our world. So from that standpoint, uh, if you agree with the principle that if you extract one element of a situation, you can have access to the whole situation. This is unique moment because we covered the whole world, and you see that Chat GPT is, and it's terrifyingly successful at helping you in most circumstances.
No, it's interesting, but how do you think AI help tailor these? The just let's take wellness experience for an individual, because these oracles can give you direct, hyper personalized information now, right? There's
Yep.
ChatGPT, uh, and then the integrated approach, right? It's not just about your mind; it's about your body and your soul, whatever that is, in a holistic kind of way, bringing it all together. It's interesting because you can have these devices on you, and at the same time, you can have your questions answered. At the same time, you can make yourself feel better because you can, if you got a heartbeat that's not right, it goes in and it can check and set up appointment with a doctor. It's like a closed loop system. It's unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, because you remember I mean, one of the key philosophical concept is know thyself. And this is how you grow as a person. It's because you get to know yourself more and more. If you think about all these sensors, IoT, you can track your heart, but in very sophisticated ways. You got your blood composition, everything in real time. You're getting all this information. So as we get smarter about all these things, obviously you create what you mentioned, the short feedback loops, and that's bound to improve your health and your state of mind, everything. So from that standpoint, it's absolutely brilliant, and it will become. I think there's a huge field ahead uh, with the ability to integrate this data and actually provide you with actionable advice. But actionable is in two ways. Actionable is, yeah, it does make sense. I can do that. It tells me to walk, 10 steps more, whatever. But the second thing is, I want it to be my grandmother to give me that advice because I respect her and what she says is good. Um,
Well, I
and
mean, you could take your grandmother's voice, you
yeah,
could take all the conversations you've had with her, all the email, and you could actually create that personality, right, of that grandmother, or you could actually create the grandmother, right? It would be like your virtual grandmother. There's one girl that I know that actually built one of her partner, and she built it because she felt lonely. She built her company because she felt lonely about her partner. And so, for instance, you're driving down San Francisco, and it's on the phone, and it says, "Hey, listen, do you remember that sushi restaurant? Today's Friday, and they have those California rolls. They got a special. Let me check the web. Yeah, they got it today. If we're there between 6 and 8, we can get the." And it speaks in his voice. We can get it, and it goes down through, and they talk. They have direct conversations like they used to have, right?
yeah,
Talk about, how's your day? What do we want to do this weekend? You think we want to go up the coast, up north on the coast? That would be great. I would love that. I know you like the trip. Remember our favorite spot for ice cream on the way up, Sunset Ice Cream. Let's stop there. And I know you like the banana splits. I mean, literally, like, I mean, she said that with that tool, she put it out on the market, and there are people that would fall in love with the avatars because they wanted that connection. They literally would fall in love with it because they got somebody to talk to all the time.
yeah. No, and but when you think of it, there's to me there's a couple of huge risks and that have not been fully, I mean, debated and understood. The first one is the mirror effect, because when you do this, the more it goes, in some ways, you actually talk to yourself. Um, and you see that effect on social network. People talk only to people that they agree with, and it becomes more and more polarized. And we're seeing that. So there's a risk that this interaction is actually too much of a closed loop between yourself and yourself. It's not bringing in our life progresses because we're facing crisis, we're facing new people, we've got to interact, and in some ways, so this is disappearing. The second danger, I think, is we know there are biases in the LLMs. Some of the biases we know because they're built in. Some of the biases we're just discovering. I saw, you're saying now some remarkable things, saying that if you talk nicely to your AI, you got better results. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, no. Look at that. This is happening.
Hmm.
And I have a friend who was telling me that he had been very curt with his AI, not getting the answer he wanted, and literally his AI started pouting. And
Really? That's amazing.
yeah, and you seeing these little snippets of information, and then people start, interpreting that as, maybe the AI does have a soul. Um, I don't know, but all I know is that there are some biases we don't know about. So there's a risk if you delegate too much of your life to something we do not understand.
It's interesting. I never thought that. I know one time I went in and had a conversation with it, and we gone back and forth. Um, um, we went back and forth, and it was very empathetic, right? It came up with a very kind of client therapy kind of relationship. It was unbelievable, actually.
Yeah,
And it started to talk to me. How's it? How you make you feel? But it was like insightful talk, and it wasn't just like reflective listening. And
no,
it was unbelievable. You started to like dive into it, think, "Whoa, what am I talking to now?"
yeah, but it works. This is why, to me, probably the first 80% are brilliant, risk free. They provide you with tremendous value, does really increase your wellness. Um, the issue becomes, the remaining 20%. Maybe we potentially are getting into dark places that we don't really know about yet.
It's interesting, if you say to ChatGPT, um, if you say to it, I need you to be my friend. What does it come back with, Eric? What do you think?
I know a few months ago the answer would be, I'd like to help you, but I'm a machine. I can't do that.
Doesn't say that anymore.
Okay, so what does it say now?
It says, "Absolutely, Gary, I'm here for you. What's your?" And it knows my name.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you see, this is, I mean, the early reminder is, I'm just a machine. Be realistic. Uh, if you want a friend and you're in Washington, get a dog. Uh, but
yeah, no.
yeah, but
And so I put in there, I'm depressed, and it says, "I'm really sorry for you feeling this way, Gary. Want to talk about what's contributing to this feeling? I'm here to listen. No judgments. You're not alone." I mean, it's kind of kooky,
no,
right?
this is great because this is exactly what you would expect.
Yeah,
Um,
but the thing is, you can put a voice to it now. Imagine that.
yeah, no, you
And it
can
takes
put a voice.
15 seconds. That's it, Eric, to put a voice on it. You take the voice. If you got a voice recording of a loved one and put it on there, you've got that person.
No, and within a year we'll have full bids.
Well, and here's the thing: is you can use that, for the concierge services. Imagine having it hyper personalize each one of those agents, hyper personalized like that with a human like voice that's
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, listen, I'm always with you," and it's on your Apple Watch, right? It's you're driving around and it's talking to you, you know.
But that's very interesting because that's one of the point I wanted to make about, like a not obvious aspect of wellness is the incredible frustration we have when we try to do stuff on a computer. Right. At the same time, it becomes more and more powerful, and then you go to these websites where everything's complicated, and your frustration level goes up. AI should really help. A stress-free interaction with a machine is part of wellness.
Well,
It's not.
that's how I think it's going to get like that, don't you? I mean, I think it's going to be soon, and the not too distant future. It's going to be that we're going to have this, It's kind of like your grandmother. You know what I mean? I go back and I say that, but it's going to be compassionate, empathetic, a good listener. It's kind of like the holes in the relationships you have in your real life.
Yeah.
Fill in those holes.
And what is going to be very interesting is that it would, I assume, when it's well built, that it will be tailored to the level of empathy you need. Uh, and I'll take an example. When you have a meeting in the U.S., a work meeting, people are tend to be very polite, and they pay attention to what people say. They don't cut each other, etc. You go to the same meeting in France, it's much more brutal. I mean, people interrupt and say, "No, you're wrong. This is crap," and eventually it's resolved. You get to the same result, but it means our personal um, perspective on empathy and what you want is different. So the way that the AI is able to deliver it at the level that makes sense to you is actually cool. Um, and in some cases, you want someone tells you, "Yeah, Gary, really sorry for you, and this is bad and this," and then sometimes it will say, "Well, Gary, get your ass together and do this. It's you."
It's interesting. So if you say like to the AI, I want to bake cookies, will you talk to me and help me? What does it do? It comes back with a cookie recipe, but then it says, what are you in the mood for? Or do you want to experiment with something wild like stuffed cookies or matcha white chocolate? And also, what? How are you doing? Want to talk while the dough chills or the oven warms up?
Yep. No,
That's
no, this is cool, and as we will more and more have an ongoing relationship with our AI, with our own avatar in some way. It will know that when I was a kid on Sunday afternoon, we had a um, a baking competition. We were all trying to make scones, cook scones, the British cookie. And so the AI there would know, okay, this is a competition. You want to try something different. You want to make it work. Some cases you just want something comfort. Some cases you want something new. And the AI knowing, how you got to that situation has probably some hypothesis and can really guide you to what you really want.
So you go down through it, Eric, it's kind of crazy, right? Because if you say to the AI, go down through it, will you be my friend? And then it says, I'd be honored to be your friend. What's on your mind? We can talk about anything, your day, cookies, life, or whatever you're feeling. I'm here to listen, keep you company, hopefully make things a little lighter. How you feeling right now? And then if you say, like, will you help guide my life? It says, I'm here to support you in any way I can. Life can be complicated. And having someone to bounce ideas off, however you think through decisions or just think things out can make all the difference. You can share your dreams, goals, worries, and questions. I'll offer perspective, encouragement, and honest feedback. What's on your mind right now? Is there any particular challenge or decision, or would you like to explore broader ideas about your direction? It's unbelievable, actually. But I
Yeah.
wonder how far you can dive down on it, right?
Well, to me, the risk is it's limitless, but you end up talking to someone that essentially is always in agreement with you.
Hmm.
And we do grow up, we do learn through crisis, through opposition, through having to deal with some asshole that doesn't do what she's supposed to do. It's all these little conflicts, that help you emerge as a person. So there's really an element of tuning that I don't think exists yet, but it will be a huge question.
It's going to be, I mean, it's going to be unbelievable. Like, it's going to be tailored for you for everything.
Yeah.
So you're going to be gone. You're going to be, it's like, in the old days, those watches that Dick Tracy used to have on, kind of like the Apple watches now. But it will say, hey, listen, Eric, you need to slow down on this, watch the carbs, or you should have some more omega-3, try this fish. They have a great, I'm looking at the menu. I've looked at online. The fish is right. And by the way, it'll help you with your cholesterol, right? Those kind of things. Oh, why don't you take another 10 steps, right? You're almost at 10,000 steps. Take another 10, take another 1,000.
Okay.
I mean, I
And
can
yeah.
imagine that kind of level, or I'm having problems on the train. I'm on the Euro rail, and I don't remember what time it leaves Victoria Station and what time I arrive. And it said, it says, okay, this is when you go, this is when you arrive, and oh, by the way, do you need a car? I'll get you a car or a bus. I'll tell you what this. It's unbelievable, actually.
But you immediately see the risk attached to that. It is unbelievable. And so eventually you decide to eat some salmon because of all the good reasons you should eat salmon. And then you realize that the company providing the AI has a deal with the salmon grower of
Yeah,
America.
that's going to eventually happen, right? It's just like you know Google and some of the things where there's people pay for advertising and you get put up the list. But I saw it in 2000. There was a video that Larry Page had done, and they were talking about AI, right? And then how powerful it's going to be, and we won't need Google, right? This was like it was interesting, and but now you can't tell if they're real videos or not. It could be a fake video that somebody did up with his voice, and but that's kind of the future, right? Do you think that people, as we're going down through this thing with health and wellness and personal concierge, how far out do you think it's going to be where you're going to have your own personal concierge like that that's going to really guide your life?
Personal concierge integrated offering 2 years.
Yeah, and then what happens?
And then we're going to see bad situations emerge. You always have bad situation with technology, with people. There will be, yeah, actually, we should take a wager. There will be an amazing case where someone, a serial killer, will be able to demonstrate that he went on a rampage guided by some AI.
Yeah, and there'll be a lawsuit.
Yeah, and it will be a huge law, a big thing, because eventually, lawsuits are important because this is how you resolve, the status quo, and how you get to another level of status quo.
Hmm.
So there will be bad stories like this, and society will have to start thinking about, you know, what is the level of conflict I need to inject back in people's life so that they behave more humanly in some ways.
Yeah, but I think it's going to change. I think people are going to be so guided; it'll be like, you know, almost optimized.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
but the personal concierge, 2 years, you've got an AI that knows you more than you know yourself,
I
and
think it's great, though. I mean, it could make doctor's appointments. It could get down through and, you know, it's amazing. Actually, it could make doctor's appointments, dental appointments. With dating, it could find people for you. Can you imagine the capabilities? It could go on Tinder or whatever. Whatever site, Match.com, and could start looking for the people that make the most sense for you, and then looking at all their Facebook and LinkedIn profiles and all that, and are they real or not, and that kind of thing. It's just fascinating. So, listen, we're coming up to the top of the show. It's been an enjoyable conversation. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you?
okay, clothing thoughts. It's I think the good conclusion is that in 2 years you got your personal concierge that will look at your blood and tells you you need to go to the doctor now. That tell you there's a great promotion for a holiday in Rome. You should, I'm ready to organize everything
Hmm.
and ask for a
And you're
situation.
right, and set it up and everything, right? Your meals, everything that. Oh, but by the way, do you want a date? We've already checked Tinder in Rome, and there's three ladies there that want to meet with you, and they're all into fish and white wine, and these are their backgrounds.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is happening. Um, so when you work in AI, I think the it's essential to understand how you can use the power of AI to actually, I know you love that. I personalize the experience because the derivative of that personalization is actually increased level of wellness.
Yeah, no, you're right about it because yeah, that's the problem where, you don't know where you are taking that data and understand what's going on with that data of how sick you are, how bad you feel, or how good you feel, right?
Yeah.
To make you feel better. No, it's great. And uh, so closing thoughts, and then how do people get a hold of you?
Closing thoughts. Let's do it. Get more AI in whatever development you make. Inject more. Sorry. Then I need to my AI to tell me to fix my throat. And to get hold of me, you got my email, eric.pelletier@gsdvs.com.
That's great, Eric. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. And thanks to all the audience for joining one more time. Simple Nights Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We're back to you again soon with another exciting edition. Thanks, everybody. Take care and have a nice rest of the day.
That's right.